Welcome to Feminine Founder. I'm Caroline Pennington, your host. I'm a former executive search recruiter turned online entrepreneur. I created the Feminine Founder podcast for women who are navigating their professional life, creating epic companies, or climbing the corporate ladder. So if any of these resonate with you, you're in the right place. Today, I have Lisa Stryker with me. Lisa is a certified coach, speaker, and trainer. She founded Stryker Coaching and Communications after many years working in executive leadership roles in corporate. So welcome, Lisa.
Hello. So happy to be here.
So I'd love you to tell your story. I mean, you worked in some really big corporate roles for some really big companies. And then a couple of years ago, you completely pivoted and went out on your own. And so you're an entrepreneur now. So I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, I think I'm just as surprised as anybody that I'm an entrepreneur. So it is kind of funny to be sitting here talking about it. Yeah, for 25 or so years, I was in communications. Started out as a writer, kind of moved my way up in PR and marketing, did work for like a Fortune 150. And I really thought that was my dream job. Always wanted to be a leader. So I was headed in the right direction all throughout that. And I got the coveted leadership role. And I have always been kind of a self-development junkie, like a personal development junkie. So all throughout that journey, I was reading about being a good manager and understanding how to develop people and guide people towards success. And so I thought, I'm so ready. And then I got my first leadership role, and it became pretty clear to me it didn't take too long for me to understand that I was missing something, but I didn't know what. Like, I cared about people so much. I really, really wanted to do a good job. I had always been the A student, never always as an individual contributor, had always gotten great performance reviews. Like, I was used to succeeding, and I did not feel like I was succeeding in that leadership role. And I would go to leadership development training, and they would talk about listening to people and collaborating and showing empathy and all of those things. And I thought, I'm already really good at this. Like, oh, I got this. But what I realized over time that I really needed was decision-making skills to overcome my conflict avoidance. There are things that people like me who have a lot of empathy, who really care a lot about what other people think, it goes to the extreme and it gets in their way. So long story short, I got laid off from my quote dream job, and that really rocked me. I found coaching because I knew I need to figure this out once and for all. This is not the end of the line for me. And coaching changed my life. It was exactly what I needed to show me that I am meant to be a leader. I just need new skills, a different way of looking at things. And so because coaching changed my life, and because I'm so sure there are other people like me out there who are driven to lead, but they're overthinking it, is what I call it. They're stuck in their heads trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong? I've always been successful, and now I'm not successful at this. Why? I want to help them. And 2 years ago or so, I decided to go full time to really devote my life to this. And that's how I landed here. Surprise.
So that brings me to my next question. If someone's in a similar seat right now, maybe going through a job change or is recently laid off from their dream job or just from any job, if you've lost your confidence professionally, how do you get it back?
Yeah, this is such a good question. And it was the question I asked myself. Like, I thought, have I just hit a ceiling on my confidence and this is the end of the line? I have a really simple answer, and that is to really embrace the idea that courage comes before confidence. Confidence is not something you can sit around thinking about and talk to other people about and ruminate about, and then it just appears in your life. You have to take action, and it's going to be action that scares you a little bit. It's going to be doing new things. And as human beings, we are afraid. We feel afraid. It feels scary in our bodies to do things that are new to us. So If you are at a place where you feel like you've hit a ceiling on your confidence, which is exactly what happened to me, I would say that the answer is for you to find your courage. And, one of my coaching peers says it so well. She says, we're not meant to work through this kind of thing alone. We as humans like connection. So find someone to help you. A mentor, a trusted friend, a coach. Working through it with someone else is going to help you get through it so much faster, and it'll be much more pleasant than the trial and error way that we try to do it in secret.
You bring up a good point about having a mentor or community, and I think that applies if you are a corporate employee or if you're an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship can obviously be a very lonely path unless you have other people going through similar things with you.
Yes.
But I think that applies to people in corporate too, because maybe their current company doesn't provide the professional development that they need, to continue to succeed as a leader.
Absolutely. And it's something I wish I had done for myself. At the time, I was afraid to ask for help, but I always recommend look for a mentor, look for someone you admire and kind of test the water and see if there's a connection there. It doesn't have to be a formal relationship. It could just be a friendship and connection, and having someone to help you through that can make all the difference. I wish that companies formalized mentorship more frequently. I think that it would really help their management teams excel.
Wow, that's a great point. And that's something that I've always wanted myself at the corporate jobs that I've had too. So that's a great, great point.
Yeah, I think, you're a great performer as an individual contributor, so you get a management job. And then for a lot of us, people with certain characteristics that I think are very essential to leadership, like empathy, like really caring about helping other people develop themselves, can run into some roadblocks. And if you have the right mentor to show you how to overcome those and help you get the courage to try, can make all the difference.
So why is it important for leaders of companies to embrace empathy? We use empathy as a buzzword, but actually practice it.
Such a really interesting question. So, I think what we're experiencing as a culture right now is the result of us pretending that we don't need to be connected to one another and that we don't really have human needs, like almost that we've not recognized who we truly are as human beings. I know that sounds kind of dramatic, but if you really look at it in the big picture and how there's all this burnout and people don't feel like they can take time off and aren't having any fun in their lives and are not, the healthcare crisis, all the drug abuse, like it's not uncommon for a client to start with me and confess that they're drinking 3 or 4 glasses of wine a night to try to get through their daily life. Like this is a problem. And empathy in its truest form is simply noticing what's happening for other people. And if you are putting your head in the sand about what's happening for the people in your company, you're going to drive them into the ground. You're going to lose them. There's a lot of turnover. And the honest truth is some companies really don't care. I have coached people who say that, turnover is considered a cost of business. I don't want to work for a company like that. And I think that increasingly there are people who feel the same way. Now, I'm a Gen X elder. I have children who are Gen Z and millennial, and they are not interested in sacrificing their entire life for their job. So that's the long way of saying if you're not paying attention to your people and you're not cultivating empathy and looking for people who are naturally empathetic and giving them the training and mentorship they need to be strong leaders, it's going to come out in the wash. And I really believe that's where we're headed. And if you want to be successful, pay attention to people's human needs and entire life, which is not at work.
You make a great point, because in my recruiting experience, the companies that actually care about their employees have less turnover. Their people feel more connected to them. They're more loyal to them. And it goes just such a long way. Just be a human.
I think that makes so much sense. And I do believe for the people who are not convinced, I think they need to understand how it affects the bottom line. Turnover is expensive. And at some point, it's going to start going into the negative, where people are really looking for that culture that allows them to live their life and have some contentment and not feel like they have to pick up the phone at 8 o'clock at night.
So if someone's dealing with imposter syndrome, what are some actions or mindset shifts that you can take to stop feeling stuck?
Oh my goodness. All right. So I have kind of a controversial view of this, with the caveat. So first, I'm going to say that there are some situations where people are made to feel they don't fit. I know that I've spoken to women of color, people of color, especially who have experiences that are very circumstantial that lead to them feeling like they don't belong there. That is real. And I think what we call imposter syndrome most of the time is simply part of our human experience of growing and learning and trying something new. So my answer is really two-part. The first one is to just understand and normalize that when you're stepping into a new role, when you're trying new things, developing new skills, standing in front of leadership for the first time or the fourth time, and feeling anxious and jittery about that, know that it's normal. This idea of making it sound like a syndrome, I don't think we're doing ourselves any favors. It's really just most of the time just part of how it feels to grow and learn and be kind of out of your element. And the only way through it to overcome it is to go through it and experience it. And like I said earlier in the conversation, have the courage to keep going. And then, so that's the first part, is like a mindset shift of like, of course I'm nervous. Of course I feel like a little bit out of my element, worried I'm not qualified because this is very new. And then also be very honest with yourself. I call it having your own back and being willing to think about what am I doing well here? Are there skills I need to onboard? Or, is there in an objective assessment, do I need more? Go get that. And then really giving yourself credit for having the courage to step into a new role, to step into a new way of doing things and try new things. Instead of what we typically do, which is judge ourselves and think and only focus on the time you flubbed the line or forgot what you were going to say and forget about all the great things you're doing and all the positive effect it's going to have in your life as you grow.
I feel like taking action leads to momentum. And even if it's not perfect in the beginning, it's still something. And then it leads to a stepping stone of more confidence and more courage. And it's just a snowball.
Yes. Why do we expect ourselves to be perfect when we're doing new things, right? I mean, it's kind of nuts. So setting the expectation that it's going to be easy and I'm not going to be nervous and I won't make any mistakes really sets us up to feel worse.
Besides, perfectionism is boring.
I agree. All my best friends are imperfect because everyone is.
Mine too. And I like imperfect because it means it's more real. I mean, life is messy. It's not going to be this cookie cutter, white picket fence, whatever. Like, we're all going to go through scenarios. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely. And you know what is really nice about recognizing that is that we all secretly think that everyone else is super confident and never worried. And, we look at other people and compare their outside to our inside. So when we're vulnerable and candid enough to share, and when someone says, you did a great job on that presentation, and you're willing to admit, yeah, thank you. And I was super nervous. It just normalizes it for everyone. And we can toss out that whole syndrome idea.
So switching gears, I want to talk more about your entrepreneurship path.
Okay.
What has been the most fulfilling thing that you've experienced as an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's an easy answer. Working with my clients, just watching them grow and learn and understand themselves and take chances and see them pay off. People come to me wondering if they are meant to be leaders, if they can really do it. And I just help them prove to themselves that they can. So I can't imagine a more rewarding way to earn a living than to help other people help themselves. And one of my favorite parts about that is the ripple effect that it has. Most people come to me because they are struggling with something in their work. But how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so they often talk about how it improves the relationship with their partner and how they parent, and that their teams are recognizing that they seem more relaxed or connected. I could go on for a long time, but that is by far what keeps me going, is the results that my clients get.
So as we wrap up, how can our listeners find you?
Well, if you really want to chat and get to know me, come to LinkedIn. I'm there just about every day. And I love meeting people there, having conversation. And you can always hook up with me on my website, lisastryker.com, LASASTRYKER.com. I inherited that last name Stryker. It's pretty cool from my husband. I love it. And you can sign up for my email list and we'll get to know one another that way.
Thanks, Lisa.
So happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.